Welcome, fellow freaks, geeks, and nostalgic 90s nerds to my channel, Slime and Slashers, where, we talk about everything from Nickelodeon slime to horror movie slashers, but plenty of stuff in between. Today, though, is another horror movie themed video because today I'll be going through with you guys my 31 movies that I'll be watching for Halloween / spooky season. So guys, without further ado, let's just go to the short intro so we can come back and go through all these freaking awesome movies on my list. Welcome back, guys! As you can see, I've decorated a tiny bit with the garland and the corny stuff over here, the candy corny stuff. I am kind of in the middle of decorating. I have not finished even close to what I want to get done in terms of decorating. I did do like the kitchen area, kind of, still not done. I would love to do more in my hallway because my hallway has nothing, like no artwork, no nothing. I'd love to put up some horror movie posters and some garland in the hallway to make it feel like, you know, eerie, Halloween-y, etc., etc. So we will see what I get to. But I'm just excited to go through with you guys the movies I'll be watching for Halloween time. It's the best time of the year. Actually, it's the most wonderful time of the year. But make it Halloween, like instead of Christmassy, in terms of the song itself and the tune. Alright guys, I will say, it doesn't feel like fall here, and that's kind of sad, and I will say that has hindered me being as productive as I was last year, which we got a cool front last year on the first day of fall, and I vlogged. This year, even though I promoted a first day of fall vlog, I didn't really vlog. I filmed myself decorating a little bit, but I didn't speak on camera or anything, and now we're how many days? 4 days into fall, and I still haven't really filmed anything talking on camera for a vlog. I have filmed myself decorating here and there after the first day, but yeah, I didn't film myself making coffee, making cookies, which were fall cookies that were apple caramel freaking cookies, and they were delicious. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I messed up the cookie name. Apple caramel oatmeal cookies, and they were freaking amazing, or are amazing, because I still have some, because I think the recipe made freaking a lot, like 20 cookies or maybe more, but yeah, I've only had about 6 or so, and Paul's had quite a few too, but we still have more left. But they are super sweet and super delicious, and I'm so glad I made them. It's one of the best fall desserts I've ever made. And yes, it's not pumpkin themed, but I wanted to start off with a more subtle fall dessert that had more of an apple flavor versus a pumpkin flavor, because I know when it gets closer to Halloween, I'll be making more and more pumpkin themed desserts. And just having more pumpkin-themed drinks like tea and coffee, etc. Anyway, so back to what I was saying about how it's too hot here. Today was like freaking 96 degrees, and I have to put on colored lip gloss right now. And my lips are really chapped, so sorry, I'm gross and disgusting. But the reason I'm having to wear the lip gloss, besides the chapped lips, is because my lips are freaking green right now because I had a snowball earlier. A snowball in fall? Yes, bitch, if you live in New Orleans, because it's sad. It's so sad. But shortly, I may be going on a little trip, which will include fall foliage. I can never say that right. That's terrible. Anyway, let's go through the movies now. Enough chit-chat and enough yammering on. Alright, I've actually already kicked off my Halloween marathon, and I've already watched 3 out of the 31 movies. Not a whole lot, but hey, I feel like I've gotten a head start, and I'm not cheating because I always start my movie marathon on the first day of fall, which this year, September 22nd. So it's not like I'm starting before, you know, Halloween / October. Some people only do it in October. I do it starting the first day of fall all the way through Halloween night. Sometimes even going into November 1st. But anyway, so the 3 I've watched so far, I'll still talk about what these movies are about on my list, but Bad Moon, Baxter, and Basket Case. Is it on purpose that they all began with a B? No, it was a coincidence, I swear. I didn't mean for them to be all B's when the first 3 in a row, but it just so happened that way. Alright, so let's go into the list itself. So Bad Moon, starting with that one that I've already watched, that is from 1996, and you could find that on Peacock, Shudder, and Tubi right now. And it's about one man's struggle to contain the curse he hides within, and his last-ditch attempt to free himself with the love of family. But when it looks as if he is losing his battle and endangering all he holds most dear, the family dog Thor is the last hope for his family's survival. And this movie is based off of a book called Thor, and I read that with my friend Kelly's book club just last month. And yeah, she actually saw the movie Bad Moon before reading Thor with her group. So she had a different experience than me. I read the book first, which the book is badass, by the way. It's by Wayne Smith, and it's really, really entertaining. You just feel for the dog, Thor, so much. Next up, The Nest from 1987. This you can rent on Amazon. It's not really streaming for free anywhere that I saw. This is about meat-eating mutant roaches invading an island community. And this, of course, is also based off of a novel, and it's basically based off of my favorite animal attack novel by Gregory A. Douglas. And yes, it is a paperback from hell, and there is a new edition released by Valancourt Books that you could find and pick up, and I do recommend reading it. It's very poetic and over the top with its imagery and language, but I kind of like that, honestly. I think it adds a little bit. It's got some, old school cheese to it, but at the same time, it's got some really horrific passages all at the same time, and it works well together. I'm scared to watch the movie because I can read about killer roaches, but honestly, can I handle seeing roaches crawling all over people? I doubt it. So this is going to be really tough for me to sit through, and it'll probably make me squirm and want to hide my eyes and scream in a way, squeal, scream, because if I see a roach in real life, which I do quite often, especially here in hot old ass Louisiana, I yell for Paul, my boyfriend, to come kill it, or I just scream and squeal and leave the room. So I hate roaches so much. Bleh. Alright, next up, Baxter, which I told you guys I already watched. I watched this last night. This is a French movie, so if you watch it, it has subtitles. I own this on DVD, and this is how I watched it. And I think it was released on the Criterion Collection. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's about an aggressive and murderous dog. This movie is also based off of a book, and it's based off of another Paperbacks from Hell book by Ken Greenhall, and the book is called Hellhound. And Valancourt is actually going to be releasing, they already have one edition, but they're going to release it with the official Paperback from Hell logo on it, I believe, with the original cover art. So look for that soon. And I love that novel. It's one of my favorite, again, just like The Nest, it's another favorite animal attack story, but Hellhound is just eerie, off-putting, and very disturbing. It's not really cheesy. I would say it's more just really creepy to read. But so is the movie. The movie is a super faithful adaptation, and I gave it 3.5 stars. By the way, I gave Bad Moon 4 stars because I thought Bad Moon was wonderful in terms of acting and everything. So is Baxter, but I don't know, I think it's because I like the book more that I didn't give it a 4. It was almost a 4 because the acting was pretty incredible. Next up, Willow Creek, and this is from 2013. You could find this right now on Peacock or on Vudu or Tubi with ads, of course. And it's about a young couple who ventures into the woods to capture footage of the elusive Bigfoot. I'm excited. I've never watched that one before. And by the way, out of these 31 movies, only 6 movies are rewatches. The rest are first-time watches, and the 3 I've already watched so far this year were all first-time watches. So I never had seen Bad Moon, never had seen Baxter, and never had seen Basket Case, which is kind of criminal because Basket Case is kind of like a cult classic, but I'm glad I have now seen it. But we'll talk about it when it comes up on my list here. Okay, next up, I was kind of going for a werewolf, mini werewolf nature animal theme. So you could see just in the first couple of movies, I've got a lot of animal-themed movies. I mean, I count Bigfoot as an animal, kind of, a creature, whatever. So creature feature, animal feature movies that are the first freaking few movies on my list. And that was on purpose because I kind of wanted to do a mini theme. And also, a part of that theme was watching movies of books that I've already read too as well. Alright, so next up is Wolf, keeping with that creature feature type of theme, and this was from 1994. This is starring Jack Nicholson, by the way. It looks a little cheesy as well, and not pure horror, but I'm not sure. I still am interested in it, and I'm excited to watch it. This one's kind of long. It's just over 2 hours. It runs at 125 minutes, just so you guys know. I always write down the running time so I could plan out my marathon. You know, if I have an hour here, 2 hours there, I could pick a movie quickly off my list without having to go like look it up on IMDb every single time I try to look through movies and options of movies. This way I have a list, I don't have to do any looking up over and over again. You could rent Wolf on Amazon or on YouTube. Again, both of those would be paid rentals. And this is about publisher Will Randall. He becomes a werewolf and has to fight to keep his job. And I guess that might be literally fight, not like metaphorically fight. All right, next up, this is another movie based off of a book I have read, which I will talk about in a second, but the movie is Angel Heart, starring Robert De Niro. This is from 1987, and you can find it on Hoopla, Pluto TV, and you could rent it on Amazon. This is about a down-and-out private detective named Harry Angel, who is hired to find a missing person. Supernatural elements are involved. And this is also based on a book, like I mentioned before. The book is Falling Angel, and it's great. The last part of the book is super crazy, so I'm really intrigued to see the adaptation, and I've heard it's kind of extreme at the very end, just like the book is, so I'm really looking forward to it, and that sounds messed up, but hey, that's me, and that's all horror lovers, in a good way, not in an insulting way. I love all fellow horror lovers because I feel like it's people I can relate to, which I really appreciate. Next movie on the list is actually a movie I had on last year's list, but I didn't get to it because I don't think I had a way to watch it last year. Now I do, and you could find it on Tubi, but I actually have it on DVD. This is Cemetery of Terror from 1985, and it takes place on Halloween, where a group of medical students steal the corpse of a serial killer from a morgue and raise him from the dead. Sounds like fun. I believe it's a foreign film, but I can't 100% remember. But yes, that'll be the first time watching that for me. Next up, The Beyond from 1981. You could find this on Shudder and Peacock. And this is about the cellar of an old hotel is built on top of the door to the beyond. And that sounds like a ball to me. So I think this is another classic or cult classic that I haven't seen, and it's a real shame that I haven't seen it yet. So I've got to rectify that, and that is why it is on my list this year. Next up, another movie that was on my list last year, but I had to take it off because I could not find it streaming anywhere. However, recently I saw on Amazon that the Blu-ray is available for pre-order, and it should be shipping in October, so I should have it before Halloween. And this is the movie Ghost Watch from 1992, and the premise is, for Halloween in 1992, the BBC decides to broadcast an investigation into the supernatural. And again, I believe the only way you could watch this is if you own this. Next up, a slasher movie that was actually on my summer slasher movie marathon, but I didn't get to it because I really slacked with my movies in June for my slasher watch-a-thon. However, I did read a lot of slasher books, so I still accomplished a lot. I just didn't watch the amount of movies I wanted to that were officially on my list. So this next one is Motel Hell from 1980. You could find it on Tubi or Amazon, and as I said, it is a slasher, and it is a very zany slasher that has a lot of comedy in it, and I am excited because I really should have watched this just a few months ago. So now it's going to be watched in October, and I'm still excited because I think it'll be fun. I think October is so perfect for slasher movies. Obviously, when you think of October, a lot of times, a lot of people think of movies like Halloween, movies like Friday the 13th. I mean, we're talking about ultimate classic nostalgic slashers. So although Motel Hell isn't as widely acclaimed as those, it still fits with the subgenre of horror that I love. So I am really looking forward to it. Next up, Wishmaster. Again, this is my first time seeing this, which is a shame, but I am super pumped to get to it. 1997 is from when it's from. You can find it on Tubi, Pluto TV, and you can rent it on Amazon. A demonic entity attempts to grant its owner 3 wishes, and then stuff ensues from there. Next up, The Uninvited. It's supposed to be super horrible. I'm excited about this. Okay, this is from 1987. You could find it right now on Shudder, or on Tubi, or on Roku TV. This is about a sinister corporation who loses control of a house cat infected with a genetically engineered virus. And the cat looks absurd from what I've seen. Like, it looks really badly done, like a puppet or something. I don't know, but I need to see this movie because of the cat and because it just looks so bad it's good, and I love movies like that. If you guys are new here, I am corny. As this says, you're so corny. I bought it because that is like the phrase to describe me. I'm so corny. I love corny movies and cheesy movies and over-the-top movies that I can laugh at. So bad it's good movies, as I said. Next up, a movie called Possession from 1981. I am so freaking jazzed about this one. This one's also hard to find. I had to buy it on Blu-ray, and it was expensive. But I've heard great things about this movie, and also it stars an actor that I really, really like, Sam Neill, so I have to watch it. And I just love him in a lot of movies, but especially in Jurassic Park, of course. All right, next up, kind of keeping with the possession theme and the demon theme, The Devil's Candy from 2015. You can find it on Tubi or you can rent it on Amazon. Again, like I said, it's a possession type of story, and it's a newer possession type of story, whereas the other movie Possessions from the 80s, Devil's Candy, is from 2015. So I like how that's from 2 different decades there. Next up, the third movie I already watched, Basket Case, which is actually the movie I kicked off my entire marathon with, so it was the first movie I watched for this year's marathon. The movie is from 1982. I watched it on Shudder, but you could also find it on Tubi. And basically, the description says, "What is the secret Dwayne is hiding in the basket? Open it if you dare." The ending was incredible. The ending elevated the whole movie. Of course, you got your 80s cheese. There is some over-the-top acting and some kind of, I guess you could consider it cheesy effects. But at the same time, I thought it was kind of a compelling story while also being kind of funny in a way, because of the acting. However, that ending was not funny. It was effective, and I said it elevated everything. So I think I almost gave it a 4, but I gave it a 3.5 because I balanced the cheese with the awesome ending. But overall, it was enjoyable, and I'm really, really happy that I finally checked it off my list. Next up, Popcorn from 1991. You could find this on Shudder. The tagline, which I love, is "Buy a bag, go home in a box." So clever. I love really unique taglines like that are like a play on words or something. The premise is a horror film festival held in a theater, which was once the scene of a tragic fire, turns into a real-life horror show. Sounds like fun to me, and I've heard really good things about it in terms of it's a blast to watch, so I am really eager to get to it. Next up, a sweet little short movie, and I guess you could almost call it just a short in general, not an actual movie. It's only 27 minutes long. And you could find this on YouTube for free. You just gotta Google the movie name. This is Pumpkin Moon from 2005, and I found out about this little short from the book Pumpkin Cinema by Nathaniel Toll, my good friend Nathan, who wrote about the best movies to watch during Halloween. Not just Halloween Day, he means Halloween season, and he's got a set of criteria that he follows and lists certain suggestions for movies to watch that would be perfect for the spooky season. Pumpkin Moon was one of those short/movies that he suggested in the book, and so I made sure I could find it and I added it to my list. So the essential premise, it's the tale of a black cat who gets caught up in a Halloween battle between an army of good pumpkins and a horde of evil witches and their spells. And I've heard from Nathan's book that, I guess not heard, I read from Nathan's book that it's very cute and adorable and really beautiful in terms of the animation and everything. So I literally can't wait to watch that one. And that'll be closer towards Halloween because I bet it will have some incredible Halloween imagery and, you know, just symbols like, you know, like the pumpkins. I'm sure the little good pumpkins will be so flippin' adorable. I can't wait. Anyway, next up, As Above, So Below from 2014. You could rent this on Amazon. The premise, when a team of explorers ventures into the catacombs that lie beneath the streets of Paris, they uncover the dark secret that lies within the city of the dead. All right, next up, Extraordinary Tales, which I think I've already seen, but I'm gonna watch it again if I've seen it. It's only 73 minutes long. It's from 2013. You can find it on Peacock, Shudder, Tubi, Vudu. It's 5 tales by Edgar Allan Poe, narrated by different people, and it's basically like animated stories. So I have definitely seen the Fall of the House of Usher part of this movie, and I think I might have seen the Telltale Heart part of this movie. However, I'm not sure I've seen the whole thing, so I'm really excited to watch this, especially because I'll be reading Usher's Passing, which is I think it's a continuation or a different retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher. So it'll be a very Poe-centric October for me with reading Usher's Passing and watching Extraordinary Tales. And next up on my list, I will also be watching the old school movie House of Usher from 1960. And of course, again, that's a movie adaptation of the Poe story, The Fall of the House of Usher. So not only am I reading Usher's Passing, I'm watching House of Usher. And I've already read The Fall of the House of Usher a couple of months ago when I read What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. You can find it on Canopy, or you can rent it on Amazon. The tagline, Edgar Allan Poe's demonic tale of the ungodly, the evil House of Usher. I like that tagline a lot. Very epic. Next up, Ice Cream Man, which I heard about from my friend Cameron Chaney. Although I've heard other people talk about it, but I've never really paid attention enough to make a note of it. But once Cameron shouted this out, I was like, I'm gonna make a note of this. It sounds like a fun time. So it's from 1995. It's only 84 minutes, so super quick. I try to find a mix of longer movies, and I try to find a lot of shorter movies so that I could try to squeeze them in while also reading a lot. So yeah, that's the whole idea behind that. You could find this on Shudder, the Roku channel, and Tubi. The tagline is, I scream, you scream, we all scream for the Ice Cream Man. Instead of we all scream for ice cream. Anyway, it's perfect. All right, next up on my list, an adaptation I'm excited for. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also very skeptical and very nervous about it because I don't want the movie to mess up the book, because I love the book. Okay, it is My Best Friend's Exorcism, which is coming out at the end of September, but I'm going to be watching it on October 9th with my friend Kat. We're going to watch it together. We're going to vlog. We're going to carve pumpkins that day. I'm so pumped. She also loves the book, My Best Friend's Exorcism, and I just recently reread it, so it was the perfect time to prepare for the movie. Don't F this up. Don't F this up, movie people, because I will be so sad. And you can find it on Amazon Prime on September 30th and afterwards, I should say. All right, next up on my list, Terrifier 2 from 2022. That means this year. It is going to be released in theaters for a limited amount of days on October 6th. Then afterwards, it's coming to Screambox. And it's a long one, and it's apparently very, very brutal, even more brutal. If you've seen Terrifier, the first movie, that movie's brutal. Apparently Terrifier 2, and that's a tongue twister, by the way. Apparently Terrifier 2 is even more hardcore with its violence, and I'm scared. I'm scared to watch it because Terrifier 1 kind of messed me up, and I know it freaked my friend Kat out, and we're thinking about watching it together in the theater possibly, but we'll see. Next up, another new movie. I like to have a mix of, you know, old and new movies, so here's another new one. Hocus Pocus 2, of course, coming out very soon on Disney+. Just like My Best Friend's Exorcism, it will be releasing on September 30th. I might actually watch that one if I can, even though I'll be on vacation on that day. I might try to watch it that day, but we'll see. I don't want to wait too long because I don't want to get spoilers, but we'll see. All right, next up, I'm going to watch, and I'm scared because I have a very, very strong love and affinity for the original. So I'm going to be watching the remake, even though when it first came out, I vowed that I would never ever watch it because nothing could surpass the original in my eyes. The original holds a very special place in my heart. But I have given in, and I am going to check out the new remake and see what I think about it. I'm gonna do it, whatever, just do it. So that is Suspiria, the new remake from 2018. It's freaking long. It's 152 minutes. Is this the longest movie on my list? I think it is. Damn, I don't know if I wrote that right. If that's right, that's an insane long movie. You could find it on Amazon Prime, but now that I see how long it is, I'm even more tentative about watching it. But anyway, if I hate it, the next movie on my list is the original Suspiria to wash any bad taste that might be lingering in my mouth after watching the remake if I don't like it, although I have heard good things about it, but whatever. The original, I just can't see anything surpassing it, even if it's different and it's, you know, it's not like you have to choose one or the other. I don't know why you had to remake it. Anyway, the original is from 1977. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I love the story. I love the cartoony blood in it because the blood is so red. It was supposed to look like the reds in Disney's Snow White, so like that kind of cartoonish red. And the director, Dario Argento, by the way, I am wearing my Suspiria t-shirt right now. See, Suspiria, it says. Anyway, Dario Argento really accomplished his whole goal on making the blood look cartoony. Very, very stylized movie, and that's why I love it. Awesome music by the band Goblin. Anyway, I can't say enough good things. It's one of my favorite freaking horror movies of all time. It's definitely in my top I think it's in my top 3. It's so hard to beat. It's so good. So good. All right, so you could find that, like I said, I don't know if I said, but you could find that on Tubi and on Canopy. Next up, the rest of these are all rewatches. So Event Horizon, it's been years, maybe 10 years, maybe more since I've seen this. Event Horizon was from 1997, and you could find it on Paramount Plus, or you can rent it on Amazon. Essentially, the premise is a rescue crew investigates a spaceship that disappeared into a black hole and has now returned, ... So something is implied there with those dots. So I can't even remember what happens in this movie, but I remember this great scene with an epic scream, and again, another movie with the actor I love, Sam Neill, in it, so that'll be fun to watch 2 movies with him. Next up, a documentary that I adore, The American Scream. This documentary is from 2012. The director of this documentary is the little boy actor from Troll 2. And also, he directed the documentary about Troll 2 called The Best Worst Movie. So yes, he directed Best Worst Movie documentary, which is about the making of Troll 2 and how it became a cult classic many years later, and he also directed The American Scream. And essentially, The American Scream is an original documentary which follows 3 families in a small seaside town in Massachusetts as they prepare for their annual homemade haunted houses. And it's marvelous, it's wonderful, it's really sentimental to me because it reminds me of my family and how crazy we go about Halloween in terms of decorating and stuff. So that's why I especially like it. It's from 2012, and you could find it on Crackle, Canopy, Tubi, Vudu, and Peacock. Next up, The Halloween Tree. Of course, this is based off of a book, and it's based off of a Ray Bradbury book, Mr. Halloween. So if you have not seen this movie, it's an animated kids movie, but go check it out because I think literally anybody of any age could enjoy this movie. It's beautifully animated. It's wonderfully narrated because guess who narrates it? Ray Bradbury himself. So who better to narrate, you know, a movie than the actual guy who wrote the novel that the movie was based on? So yes, it's so good, trust me. You won't regret it if you check it out. If you enjoy, you know, movies that appeal to anybody of any age. If you don't, then maybe you wouldn't like it, but I don't see why most people wouldn't like it. Alright, so this is from 1993, very short and sweet, so if you're looking for something quick, but very thematic, super thematic and full of ambience. It's only 69 minutes, as I said. You could rent it on Amazon, so you do have to pay for it. It's about 4 children who learn the origins of Halloween customs while trying to save the life of their friend. And yes, it is very heartwarming and heart-wrenching at times. It's got a lot of emotion as well as being beautiful to look at. Alright, next up, one of my favorite horror movies to rewatch, and I try to rewatch it every couple of years. I used to rewatch it every single year, but I started to make myself space it out so I could watch new movies instead of always rewatching the same old movies. And that is The Exorcist from 1973. You could find this on HBO Max, or you could rent it on Amazon. And I don't really have to describe what this is about. It's a possession story, and it's one of the greatest possession stories of all time. And of course, it is based off of a book. The book The Exorcist, and I have read the book, and it is marvelous. And if you have not either read the book or watched the movie, or if you haven't done either, then I would check either thing out or both things out for sure. Next up, my last rewatch, and a movie that I'm going to try to watch very close to Halloween. Same thing with The Halloween Tree, same thing with The Exorcist. Those will be very, very close to Halloween, if not on Halloween. So the very last one, The House of the Devil, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's from 2009, but it was shot like it was filmed in the 80s, so everything looks 80s, and it's wonderful. Even the film itself looks very grainy, as an 80s film would look. It's perfect. This is only 95 minutes, super short and sweet. However, it is a slow burn of sorts, but I think most people would like it. It's very, very atmospheric. It's got some groovy tunes in it. It's set in winter, but it's still appropriate for Halloween time because it's just a wonderful horror movie that's got some creepy parts to it. And so because of that, I just think it's appropriate to watch around Halloween time. Any movie that's a horror movie, I think is appropriate. Even if it has snow sometimes, I think it's okay. Alright, you can find this on Tubi, Vudu, Shudder, Peacock, and essentially the premise is, in the 1980s, college student Samantha takes a strange babysitting job that coincides with a full lunar eclipse. And the eclipse is no joke, because strange things are afoot. And that's my own little tagline that I added to it, my extra description about it. I do have some emergency replacement movies if I can't watch any of these movies for some reason. I'll probably end up watching these anyway, but in case I can't watch them, at least I'll know I'll get to 31 if I watch these movies. The new Halloween movie coming out, so I'm gonna watch that, and the new movie Smile coming out, which I hope to watch that. So those could be replacement movies, and I'll probably just watch them, you know, like I said, either way. Alright guys, those are my 31 movies that I'm gonna watch for Halloween season this year. What are your guys' go-to movies for the Halloween season? What are you going to watch this year in particular? Any new movies you're looking forward to? Literally drop anything movie related below, anything Halloween related below. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. This video has been long, like usual. That is so me. Anyway, you guys know I appreciate your time. It means so much to me that you actually use your time, because I know it's so valuable, but you take that time and you spend it with me. It really just means the world. Alright guys, but for this time, that is it for me. Till next time guys, you know what you can do. Keep on killing it. Bye!